Operation Deep Freeze is here, and along with it brings a new map to Rainbow Six Siege. With 3 floors, 4 bomb sites, and 56 cameras, I'm here to get you the best intel spots for your next ranked games. There are timestamps and chapters available, so you can quickly find an area you're looking for within the map. I'm Ajax, and welcome to Lair. Starting with the 2nd floor, we'll go over camera placements to cover Operational, Mezzanine, Server Hall, Display Room, Skybridge, Green Stairs, Storage, and both bomb sites. Mezzanine and Reception are easily the most active parts of the map, with access points to every other major area within. The first camera you can use for coverage of this area is in these rockets. Going up to them and aiming for just short of the middle mark in the frame will give you a view of not only the first floor reception entry and area in general, but also Mez door as well as a peek into sight. It gives audio cues through Server Hall and Operational. While the rocket cam will give you an audio cue into Operational, this next set of cameras will give you a visual coverage of the area. Aiming straight off this corner will give you a camera that watches the Mez door as well as a small line of sight into Operational. Putting head holes into the mask room will allow view to watch the breach there as well. An alternate camera for this is in the closed door corner. It serves just about the same purpose, though this one will let you see a tiny glimpse through the split door in sight as well. The last cameras watching over Mezzanine are located on the ceiling light. Pushing it back towards the rockets will give more sight into Operational, while keeping it closer to the bomb sites will let you see into Server Hall. Both of these will work with the common head holes into Operational, as well as giving you full intel on Mez door. Display Room is just through the other side of Server Hall, and placing a camera above the window lets you see the entirety of the hall as well as into Sight door, giving you the ability to watch for attackers that want to rotate around this way. Another major starting point to a push on 2nd floor is the Skybridge. There's not a whole lot of protection for cameras here unfortunately, but these will get the job done. Putting it in the stairwell will allow sight through to bottom green, while keeping it on the bridge will support cues through the hallway. There are a few more options for further coverage of storage in R6 Hall. Placing cameras in either of these spots will let you watch the approach and entry into R6 Hall in sight. Again, these cameras don't have a lot of protection, but using them wisely will avoid them getting taken out. There is a more discreet option for storage in North R6 room entry, though it is a more complicated placement. I recommend coming into storage and breaking the flooring out under this bench like I did here, then dropping down green stairs, through bunks, through briefing, placing a cam in the floor that you just broke out. It'll catch on the underside of the bench and provide both visual and sound cues to this approach, and putting feet holes like I did here in the storage wall near sight door will take this camera to the next level without compromising your sight hold. As for cameras within the actual bomb site, I have 2 for each site, starting with office or A site. Coming to the mask room corner and aiming in the middle of this raised ceiling will give you a placement protected from the attackers outside mask breach, while still being able to give those essential calls to your team. If your setup includes head holes in the mask mez wall, then those audio calls will also be available from this camera. The second cam in office is very simple. Looking into this corner and placing a cam paired with the common head holes in this half wall gives you a rather discreet view of the office door entry and the server office rotate if your team opted for one. Following the same theme, this corner in R6 room, or B, will give you a rather hidden camera to cover sight, though I personally prefer the spot in the drone hole on the other side of B. Just make sure you check it as soon as you place it, because it can trigger the out of bounds 10-second timer if you throw it just a tad too far. On Lair, a majority of player traffic takes place on the first floor throughout a game. There are 2 options for bomb sites, the weapon armory site and then the Bunk's briefing site. We'll go over cameras covering both, as well as the range, reception, security, bottom green stairs, medical, and Armory Hall. We'll start off in range. The first camera for range will be up in the stone. Crouching and aiming in the shadow pocket will give you a variant of this sort of one-way camera, keeping you out of their line of sight while keeping them in yours. An alternate range cam is located behind the lamp next to this entry door. Be sure to shoot the blue box, then walk into this corner, lining your crosshair with the corner of the block and then placing the camera when it's met with this pipeline. You'll end up with coverage over most of range to include the sight door, and you can yellow ping through the spaces of this lamp. Moving back into reception, you already know the ceiling and rocket cams, but you can get a mirrored coverage using the other rocket as well. Aiming for the hinge here will give you a cam that can see the medical door and security door. Both the rockets also have pockets underneath them to place a camera. They offered a mirrored coverage of reception as well, but be mindful of the hatch next to the west rocket, as any attacker breaching the hatch will destroy this camera. Security only has 1 camera, but I promise it's the only one you'll need here. Throw the camera through the wires in the TV, and you'll have a nice coverage of the room and any attack or push that comes through it. You already know about the camera at the top of green stairs, which can be used for cues on the first floor as well. However, these 3 benches offer a lot more opportunity to cover the first floor. Use the bolts in the wall as a guide to placing them, and you can slightly tune their coverage by shifting their placement left and right, depending on what your primary focus is. This next camera covering bottom green has very limited sight, only being able to see the attackers coming off the stairs or breaking the window to the corridor, but it is less likely to be spotted and has a lot of opportunity for audio cues through the area and through medical hall. Now a spot in medical itself is on this shelf here. I've had success both setting it right on top and throwing it underneath. They both just kind of hide in plain sight, while giving visuals on the armory reinforced wall, through to reception, and slightly into the hallway as well. Armory Hall has a reinforced wall and a door entry into sight, and can become a major part of attacker push. The first cam watching this area is behind the TV. Break the left side of it and aim just behind the mount. This will give you coverage into armory from the door, as well as hear and see any hard breach into the reinforced wall. It can give audio cues to the rest of the armory corridor, but you will need to voice those calls, as the pings are mostly limited to sight entry. The same idea goes for this next camera. Going up 3 steps on the stairs and aiming for the middle of the drone hole, you'll get a camera tucked in there that can see the reinforced wall directly. It has a limited view, but it will be able to give you audio throughout the entire armory corridor. This last camera for armory is the only one that has visuals on the entire corridor, but it cannot see the reinforced wall or into sight. It's only hidden by the shadow, but it is useful for teammates who can only ping for communication. Now to cover the bunk briefing bomb site, we've got 2 for briefing. The first is inside this lamp. Crouching, leaning right, and aiming for the bottom rim of the shade gives a camera that's very hidden and can see all the way from the reinforced wall to the security door. A second camera to cover this is up in the projector, though it can be spotted pretty easily compared to its counterpart. To see more into the bomb chassis side of briefing, you can tuck a camera behind this vent. If done right, it'll be sitting high enough to be hidden, but will still be able to track any attacker movement throughout the majority of briefing. To watch over bunks on the other side of the site, you can use any of the bunk light or corners to give you a view across most of the entire site, again shifting based on your focus area. The first camera to watch armory is tucked behind the light in this cabinet. It's pretty well hidden behind the glow of the light and provides visual on most of the entire site as well as into Armory Hall. The second armory cam is also disguised using a light. Placed near your armory door, it'll give coverage of not only armory, but also into weapon maintenance, especially if you put head holes or rotates in this wall. Audio can also be picked up outside of sight, which means it can be extremely useful when defending basement as well. That being said, we'll have coverage for not only both bomb sites, but also stock, toxin, missile, warehouse, lockers, and filtration. Stock and toxin, in my experience, has attacker presence nearly every basement round. This first one is the best for seeing through to toxin and even into sight some, but it can be a little bit exposed, so a more tucked away version is just on the other side of the shelf, and it's still an extremely powerful camera. This next camera watches the other side of toxin and even into missile a little bit. It's just as powerful as those last cameras, being able to listen for a hatch drop, and any attackers coming in from lockers and missile will be spotted as well. A camera for missile itself is a bounce placement. You'll throw one camera up in this area, and aiming for a bounce off the eye, you should end up with a second camera hidden by the mesh cage. It's the most efficient with voice comms, but is capable of red pinging an attacker if needed. Don't forget to pick up the first camera thrown, and if you don't want to commit to the trouble of a bounce cam, then Missile Hall has yet another amazing rotate watch. Placed just behind this light support, it'll give you coverage on any movement in warehouse, lockers, and missile. Pushing into the warehouse itself, we have our first camera in the center of the ceiling light, directly out of the hall. It covers everywhere an attacker could move throughout the area from a central location. Alternate cameras are underneath the workbench over by the stairs. Be sure to shoot out the toolbox, and another is tucked up away in the rafters at the back of the warehouse. Any of these 3 will give you more than enough information on attackers coming this way. If you're looking for a camera that will give cues on both warehouse and lockers, there's one in the drone hole here. It'll give you a pretty good glimpse of warehouse while also being able to see any attackers in the hallway and of course lockers itself. A mirrored version of this camera is underneath the bench. It covers movement in barrels door and any electrical breach. Just be sure to shoot the boots first. If attackers are spotting these low cameras, then these 2 lockers can hide some pretty powerful cameras themselves. While their visibility is a little more limited, they can still give you major intel in the surrounding areas. The last room attackers can push sight from is Filtration. It's directly connected to blue stairs and has a breachable wall and split. It also has a window leading to the outside. In between the duct and the fence will be the first camera. If you push it towards the fence side, on this bar exactly, it'll be hidden entirely from anyone on the stairs or outside the window. For a more direct ping-friendly camera, aim right above the light in the center of the room. Make sure you're aiming on the support going the same direction. This gives you a camera that can't see stairs or window as well, but it will give you a lot of coverage that can be communicated through ping only. Moving into the bomb site directly, lab support has one camera in the bookshelves next to the chassis. Shooting at the books and aiming for the middle of the shelf at about book height, you can come out to this perfect view, being able to watch through rotate or head holes, as well as any movement in split or through side doors. In lab, there's a placement in this cabinet, again using the light to disguise its location. It gives you a good look on an entry from lockers, any breach from Toxin, and if you have a rotator head holes, it can see clearly through those as well. And the last camera for Lair is just to the right of this previous placement. Looking at the back of this drawer, you'll get a camera that can watch all those same things, but also see into Toxin itself. And since you stuck around, here's a cheeky trick you can do anywhere throughout the map. If you see these bottles, you can give them a smack and throw a camera into any that are left remaining. At first glance it may seem obstructive, but looking through the camera renders the bottle invisible, leaving you with a crystal clear view. And with that, we wrap up the ultimate Valkyrie guide for Lair. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and let me know how these work in your next games, and be sure to keep an eye out for more guides just like this. Once again, I'm Ajax, or A Joker Among Kings, and good luck, have fun out there.